Hello, everyone. Ex-Wallkill Bethelite here. And it's a good thing. It's actually fitting that Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word church for where they meet. It makes a lot of sense that they call it the Kingdom Hall. I mean, because when I drive past the Kingdom Hall, I literally think of it as a stupid center. And it's not even something that I consciously thought up. I drove past the Kingdom Hall and thought, oh, that's the stupid center. It's just fitting that they call it the Kingdom Hall. The word dumb is on the building. The reason why is because of the teachings. So for most Christians, the gospel, one of the most important things in the Bible is Jesus Christ sacrificing his life to redeem mankind. Any church you go to and you're going to have them preaching about Jesus Christ and him sacrificing his life, shedding blood for our sins. How is it then that Jehovah's Witnesses managed to mess this up? For Jehovah's Witnesses, it's all about what did he sacrifice his life on? Was it a cross or was it a stake? That's a big deal for Jehovah's Witnesses. For all of Christianity, all the rest of Christianity, the big deal is that he died for everybody's sins. Not what he died on. For Jehovah's Witnesses, the most important thing is, was it a cross or was it a stake? What difference does it make? To them, it's a big deal. To them, it's a world conspiracy that Jesus died on a stake and everybody wanted to trick, somebody wanted to trick everybody into thinking it was a cross. That's what's important. Not that he died for everybody's sins. It's kind of hard to scare everybody with the doom and gloom if you're preaching Jesus died for everybody and everybody's sins, right? Because, well, then why exactly do we need to essentially worship Watchtower, which is one of the things that make this a cult? And know this, that Jehovah's Witnesses are so stupid, and I'm telling you, the word is in the dictionary and it's the truth. And I'm not talking about the kids that were born in, or the people that were born and raised in, or the people that joined when they were 20. I'm talking about grown adults joining this cult. Listen to this. Listen to this. Most cults have somebody like a Jim Jones. Am I correct or am I correct? The Heaven's Gate cult had this specific person, this charismatic leader that everybody was following, right? There's somebody so charismatic that they have hypnotized their followers into following them, right? We can go down a list of cults and most of them have a specific leader. I don't think that the Mormons are anywhere near as bad as Jehovah's Witnesses, but they have a quote unquote prophet. They actually do have someone that's leading their church that in their mind directly speak to God and is a real life human prophet. So all of them, for the most part, the World Mission Society Church of God has got some woman in Korea that they think is the heavenly mother, the bride that is talked about. So I could just go on, but the fact is I'm correct. Most cults, David Koresh, most, the Branch Davidians, most cults have a person that is so charismatic that they gain a following. Jehovah's Witnesses managed to be the group dumb enough to somehow create a cult without it. Watchtower in and of itself is what they follow. Follow where I'm taking you here. You could blame people for being manipulated by Jim Jones, right? You could blame him, but it's kind of hard because, this guy was probably very charismatic, right? He's probably very persuasive, right? You give him enough of an audience and some of those people he's going to persuade, right? Watchtower has managed to gather people dumb enough to where they don't even need anybody charismatic. These people will literally do whatever's in a Watchtower. To the point where a printing facility in New York becomes a cult leader. Whatever the world they preach or whatever in the world they print is what will follow. Whatever the heck it is in a Watchtower, we believe it. It's not necessarily, doesn't even, most people had to get tricked by somebody that was charismatic. The Heaven's Gate cult, as crazy as that stuff sound, you got video of their cult leader, and the guy's got the wide eyes, and he looks like he was something. Like that guy is going to get some people to believe him because he looked like he believed what he was preaching, which he probably did. It sometimes takes someone that's very persuasive, very charismatic to get people to believe certain things. Watchtower. Does it need a persuasive, charismatic person because the people are dumb enough to fall for it without it? Could you imagine a bunch of people eating poison applesauce with Heaven's Gate and they didn't even have a charismatic leader? It was just an internet website that just gathered a bunch of people together to believe they were going to get picked up by a UFO? No, it's not going to work. You need somebody to trick people into believing this crazy stuff. Watchtower is that entity that tricked people that without the charismatic. I mean, you had Charles Taze Russell, of course, but there ain't one now. Charles Taze Russell didn't get your relatives in because they weren't around then. So you can't blame him. Just like, with Mormons, the people, if you know a Mormon, most likely they weren't brought in by Joseph Smith, who I'm sure is very charismatic. Right? But they do have someone that's a prophet that they believe. And I'm sure he's done a lot to get people to believe. Watchtower is literally a printing facility where people believe everything that they print. It's not really even where you got this leader and that's where people struggle to call it a cult. It's like these people there's no particular leader. That's why it's hard to call it a cult. It's like these people have stumbled upon a level of stupid that drops them dumber than people that fall for cults. right? Because this is a special cult. This is a cult with an asterisk. They managed to fall for a cult that didn't even have a charismatic leader, right? But we got to call it a cult because there isn't a word in the human language to categorize what it is they're in. It's so dumb. We don't even have a word. We got to call it a cult. Call it a cult. And it ain't got no charismatic leader. These people fell for the stupidity anyway, right? Because they're stupid. We can, you know, to a certain extent, you have to be stupid to, as a grown adult, join that. And the crazy thing is the things that I'm saying is not because I'm just angry at Jehovah's Witnesses. It's that I am amazed that there are people that are that dumb, that they have created a cult that the only way people could join something without a freaking charismatic leader to trick them, that's that dumb, is to just be imbeciles. But we still got to call it something. So we got to call it a cult. This is just a cult asterisk. People are so dumb they fell for it without the charismatic leader. The leader is freaking Watchtower. People think God talks to the printing facility somehow. You know what I mean? It's like there ain't even a specific person that Jehovah's Witnesses believe have access to God. They just think the organization, the literal printing facilities in New York, is somehow tapping into God. Like they don't even have a method for the madness. Jehovah's Witnesses don't even have a specific reason that they believe a printing facility somehow got access to God, right? Because I've sat and talked to relatives. Who exactly do you think God is in connection with that is then telling everybody else what God told them? Back when it was, we're the one true channel. Who is the channel? They didn't know. Well, I just think somehow Jehovah is directing this printing facility. We don't know who, we don't know how. This is what I mean. This is a cult that has established a group of people that are on a level of stupid that is beyond anything any other cult on the planet has ever traversed. Prove me that I'm wrong. Prove me that I'm wrong. A lot of what we believe, some of the stuff I figured out even as a kid didn't make sense. Even as a kid, I used to think, okay, we're getting all this from Jehovah. How exactly? Like who? Who is talking to Jehovah and Jehovah's talking back to them and they're printing it in the magazine? And they just know they're right. For them to just know they're right, they would have had to have some access to God in specific. They're preaching stuff that ain't even in the Bible. They're talking about Jesus is Michael the Archangel. Hold on. They're talking about Jesus is Michael the Archangel. So for them to believe that, because Watchtower told them so, means that you would need to believe Watchtower has got some kind of access to God, because how else would they for sure know? If the Bible don't flat out say it, how else would they for sure know? Right? This is what I mean. Any other cult to have established this had a charismatic leader. That's how they thought they knew. This man is so charismatic and amazing. He's got some kind of connection to God. And some of these people taught that they were Jesus, like the Heaven's Gate guy. That's how they thought he knew. At least that much makes sense. They thought he knew what he knew because he was Jesus. Jehovah's Witnesses think Watchtower knows what Watchtower knows because somehow God is controlling a freaking printing press. That is dumber than Heaven's Gate. It is. It's dumber than Heaven's Gate. Honestly, if you were a member of Heaven's Gate, you believed this man knew what he was talking about because he was Jesus. It was crazy to believe that, but at least that much made sense. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you believe Watchtower is just correct about all the stuff that they're saying. Why? You don't even got a reason to believe it. You don't even have a person that you even think talks to God. You just following a printing company just to follow it. There's no method that Jehovah's Witnesses even really believe that God gets his message to Watchtower. They don't even believe that. They don't even believe that Jehovah directly talks to the governing body. They don't even believe that he communicates to them. They just think these men in New York are just right about everything because they're just right about everything. They're just dumb. You have established a level of stupidity that, as far as in the world of religion is concerned, has reached a height beyond anything anybody else has done. And I've talked to you guys before about the people that, because I go and I look for people. I'm like, can I find anybody as stupid as Jehovah's Witnesses? Can I find anybody that dumb? I really look, like I'm looking for is there anybody that's dumb? And the thing that came to mind were the snake handlers. You can't put them on the same level of stupidity as Jehovah's Witnesses following Watchtower because the Bible does say that that's a sign. I think it's in Mark chapter 16 somewhere, like 7. Like I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly where it is, but you can Google it. You can find the scripture that flat out says it. Okay, this is why they believe it. It's flat out right there in the Bible. They don't qualify as being that dumb. Right? The Pentecostals doing all the yelling and whatnot. It's in the Bible that there was Pentecost and Holy Spirit, and these people had stuff going on because of it. You can't even qualify them as stupid as Jehovah's Witnesses. You can't qualify these other religions as stupid because what they're doing is at least in the book. World Mission Society Church of God. Yeah, it does say that there's a heavenly bride in heaven. At least it freaking says it in the book. Now and they have this woman who is actually their cult leader. Like, at least they got somebody tricking everybody. Why do they believe what they believe? Because they believe that this woman in Korea is literally the woman in the Bible that was in heaven and was married to God. Why do they think that their church is right? Because they're getting this stuff from a person that they think is basically divine. That at least makes sense if you believe this woman is pretty much God's wife, that yeah, she would know some stuff and she could teach it to you. That makes sense as to how they thought she got that information. Jehovah's Witnesses just think Watchtower just gets information and they don't even know how. My lands. That's stupid. My lands, that's stupid. For the kids raised in, no, it's not dumb. As a kid, you don't think about this stuff. It's just the stuff that you were just told when you were young. But for a grown adult, and just briefly, let's touch on this people being in a vulnerable state. Now, that's true. There are people that There's times in their life where they're vulnerable and they're looking for some kind of meaning. The problem still is, what can you fool them with, right? Yes, there's going to be times where people are vulnerable and they can be fooled during these times because they're looking for something. The question is, what can you trick them with, right? So you can trick them with this concept that this printing company just knows everything about God. They just do. Where are they getting it from? We don't know. They just get it. Are they talking to God? No, they flat out tell you that they're not. They just are. Jesus is Michael the Archangel. Why? Because they just say so. Right? That stuff is not going to work, because eventually this vulnerable state wears off. Right? You're going to be vulnerable to where almost anything will trick you for so long. And then eventually, at some point, some of this is going to have to make sense. Like, I could have gotten hit by a car, and then this Heaven's Gate guy pops up, and for a second, I might believe some of this stuff. But the minute they mix that poison in the applesauce, I'm going to be like, yeah, this is probably some BS. It's probably some BS. So for Jehovah's Witnesses, once they start predicting the end of the world and getting it wrong, yeah, you may have had them going for a little while, but once you start predicting the end of the world and it just don't never come, it's probably BS. Like it takes a long time for a person to get indoctrinated, for a person to get to a point where their brain no longer functions the way it should. Like, their brain no longer has the aha moment. Right? And for a lot of people outside of Jehovah's Witnesses, there was a reason, there was something that could easily trick someone. Right? There was something that kind of made sense. Yeah, you could trick somebody with that. You know, if somebody says that they're Jesus and they're real charismatic, yeah, you could probably trick somebody. But for Jehovah's Witnesses, there ain't the person there to trick nobody. There ain't nobody charismatic to trick nobody. You were vulnerable for a minute, and you were so vulnerable that you just thought a printing company talks to God? A magazine is just a Watchtower Magazine just talks to God? There ain't nothing there to trick somebody. Right? How do you know what you know? I don't know. We just do somehow. That's not going to trick somebody but for so long. Right? A lot of it is stupidity. A lot of it is they go out into these neighborhoods, and the person that they get to buy this stuff, you talking about a person that is not all there. Why? Because when we would go door to door and find these people who were vulnerable, most of them were vulnerable for a period of time before they start to snap out of it. So yes, we would start studies with people who just had a relative die, but it would only last for so long. It would only last for so long. After a few months, the person starts getting over it. And then they start this, okay, so this is this group that, you know, Jesus died for everybody's sins, but they think whether was it a cross or a stake is what's important. Like, it's only going to last for so long before at some point you're like, yeah, this is probably BS. They ain't got nobody charismatic to keep you going. So you would literally just have to not be that bright to believe it. Comment down below 937-789-4029. Even if you're in a vulnerable moment, which a lot of people can be in a vulnerable moment, you're only going to fall for something for so long, right? Before, yeah, this is probably BS. Like, even with the love bombing, a person should still be thinking, yeah, these people are being real nice because they're trying to get me to go to their church that they call a kingdom hall. And it's probably BS, but I might keep going because I like how they're giving me all this attention, right? But even that person, it figures out at some point, yeah, this is probably BS. Like some of the people they put up on the platform to give speeches are freaking illiterates. Like they barely got out of high school. They may not have gotten past middle school. A lot of Watchtower is just obvious. Yeah, something's wrong here. I mean, can a person literally be so, like, let's say a person, hopefully this never happens, but let's say a person was in a plane crash. Their whole family dies. They survive. They're in a state of shock where, yeah, they're kind of looking for meaning, right? If I come up to them and I tell them I'm Superman, straight face, I'm Superman. I saw the plane coming down. I pulled off my shirt and there was a big Superman S there. And the reason why, society doesn't know about me is because they're trying to hide it because I'm black. They don't want everybody to know Superman's black. So I flew, picked you up, and I couldn't let you know that I was Superman because I'm black and we got to hide that. So I sat you down on the ground softly. So I'm Superman. I'm the reason why you survived. Right? I saw the plane coming down. I saw you falling. I flew, grabbed you, put you down, tried to go get the plane. The plane fell. Are they going to buy it? No. The only person that's going to buy that and buy it for a long period of time is somebody that's dumb. Right? Because to qualify a person as being so vulnerable, they will believe anything. We'd have to prove that to qualify somebody as being vulnerable, so vulnerable that they might be a little bit more open or might be very open to believing something that might make some sense. Yeah, it's possible they might be open to believe something that if it makes enough sense could trick them, or a person that's charismatic enough could trick them. But just something that's just garbage, no, they're not going to believe that. None of us think we can just tell somebody we're Batman and they're going to believe it because they got robbed and they want to believe in a superhero now. None of us think somebody's going to fall for that or fall for it for very long. So why would we believe that a freaking printing company talking to God, literally something that prints magazines called Watchtower, communicates to God somehow we don't know, and they're going to fall for this mess, and they're printing stuff different from every other church, which means you would need to know this somehow, right? So something's got to make you pretty darn sure that everybody else is wrong but you guys. How do you know that? We don't know. That's not going to last very long if a person is somewhat intelligent. So Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of them are indoctrinated, but they had to be stupid to fall for it in the beginning. The kids don't qualify. The kids didn't know to question, and then they got indoctrinated growing up in it. But the grown adult, they had to be dumb enough to fall for it to begin with, to stay in it long enough to get indoctrinated. So they're dumb and indoctrinated, which is why they go to the Kingdom Hall. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. No, this is not that I'm angry at Jehovah's Witnesses. It's just that I'm bedazzled that people can be this dumb. This is literally me shocked of the stupidity that people can actually be that dumb. Right? I was born and raised in it. So they they tricked me, but they tricked me when I was a freaking little baby. It's not hard to trick little kids. And then you get indoctrinated before you're even an adult. right? But for a grown adult, I'm talking grown adult, not 20, 21, somebody old enough to have had life experience to know you might want to check on stuff before you just believe anything, for them to fall for something that ain't even something that people would fall for is just stupid. These people are stupid. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. I'm probably about to go get me some barbecue. I'm in Texas. I need to find a good barbecue place. So X Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.